Hello and welcome to the 43rd episode of Fresh Off the Reel. My name is Lib,
And my name is your favorite fearless hero, Pat.
and today we're talking about the newest DreamWorks movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. A sleeper hit, honestly. Like, DreamWorks has really been on a steady decline for the longest time. We got Boss Baby and then Boss Baby 2, and then there was some other shit, like, I don't know, there was Trolls and Trolls 2 and some other Crudes 2. Basically, they were in the gutter. And the bad guys came out, scrapped episode. And then then we got Puss in Boots, and it was really, really, really good. And we're going to talk about that today. We watched it in theaters. It was awesome.
It was way better than I was expecting, honestly. Because when it was first announced, I had like no expectations at all. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be good. Based off the later Shrek movies and then the first Puss in Boots movie, did not have very high hopes, but I was very pleasantly surprised. The movie was fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about the first Person Boots movie because Person Boots. I said Person Boots.
And that's close. That's close to the title.
The first Puss in Boots movie. But not much because I don't remember it at all. But this isn't really a sequel to that. The first Puss in Boots, if I'm remembering correctly, was a prequel to Shrek 1, and this movie takes place after all of the Shrek movies, after Shrek 4. I think it's a few years after Shrek 4.
Yeah, this is like the last of the timeline, and until Shrek 5 comes out.
If, we don't have any specific confirmation that there's a Shrek 5, but there's probably gonna be a Shrek 5.
Honestly, I'd love a Shrek 5 in this art style.
Yeah, this would be really cool. But anyways, let's talk cinema. Well, actually, wait. Before with that, hold on. I retract the let's talk cinema just real quick because I forgot to make this announcement in the last episode. But just in case you're all not sure, we changed the upload date from Monday to Thursday. All right, just it's going up every kind of like wait. I feel like yeah, it's true. When we first started this show, it was every Thursday, wasn't it?
I think so. I don't remember.
We went back.
Yep. If you want all your updates on time, follow us on our socials, Linktree below, yada yada.
Yeah, we got Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. But yeah, now let's talk cinema. So, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was it came out in 2022 in like the later half. Directed by Joel Crawford. Now this guy directed The Croods 2, and that's it. Like I think, and he directed a short for Trolls, but that was his whole repertoire. So he's only got this and Trolls 2 for feature length movies, and not Trolls, and The Croods 2. And wow, what a fucking what an upgrade!
Yeah. uh, I, I think recency bias kind of plays a bit of a factor, obviously. But this is up there with like Shrek 2.
Yeah, I would say this is like
It
one of the
might be
best
it
DreamWorks
might
movies.
be better than Shrek 2. Honestly, like ask me again in a couple months, but it might be better than Shrek 2.
Yeah, so let's read the plot synopsis here. This is from Letterboxd. Say hola to his little friends. I never saw that. That was hilarious. Puss in Boots discovers that his passion for adventure has taken its toll. He has burned through 8 of his 9 lives, leaving him with only 1 life left. Puss sets out on an epic journey to find the mythical last wish and restore his 9 lives. So it's a very simple story, you know, it's kind of the hero's journey, but not really. It's just like a really fun journey movie. A lot of it takes place in this place called the Enchanted Forest, or like the Black Forest, I think it's called. We'll get to that. But it's really just about Puss hanging out with his friends, trying to get his last wish with a race to the finish versus him and the two main antagonists. Really, it's really fun. It's really well done. Everything is so good. It blows my mind because the first Puss in Boots movie was like so boring, but everything that DreamWorks has been putting out is just garbage, trash, bullshit. Everything sucked. And then like we didn't talk about the bad guys on the podcast, but we talked about it briefly in our last episode. DreamWorks started doing this new animation style, which it's kind of like the Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse art style, and it works really well for Puss in Boots, and it's gonna work really well for Shrek if they end up using this for Shrek 5. Like, just having this, like, these fairy tale characters and these, like, mythical areas and set pieces and stuff like that animated in this style is so awesome. Like, they look like Shrek characters. Like it's not the biggest art design change. It's really just the Shrek art style, but it's animated a bit differently, and it translates really, really well.
I think that's like the super important thing here is like it looks so visually different while still looking like it's a Shrek movie. Well, like the character designs still look like they come from the same universe as the other movies, while also being so like unique and so visually unique. It's nice because I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I think Shrek looks good, but as the movies kind of went on, they got a little uglier, and I guess to a point that was their intention, right? Like Shrek isn't supposed to look pretty, but I think this movie makes the character designs look very visually pretty, and also look like they belong with like next to Shrek and Donkey and etc. Right? I think that's something this movie does extremely well. And I also just like this art style a lot. I think this style of animation works very well. I'm obviously a big fan of Spider Verse. We've talked about it plenty of times on the podcast. I've talked about it plenty of times in my personal life. But I love movies like The Bad Guys and this and The Mitchells versus the Machines is another one. It's just really good, and this movie continues to deliver justice to this art style and this animation style.
I think one of the reasons why this movie is so good and so popular is because of this art style. I can't really imagine this in the old Shrek art style, because this art style just works so well, and the action scenes are animated so well with this, like, low frame rate, high resolution kind of art style, and it just looks better. It just looks better than the all CG, all 3D. Like, with this one, it's kind of hard to tell if it's animated 2D or it's animated in 3D, and it's even more hard to tell in The Bad Guys. But in this movie, it's really difficult to tell. I haven't looked into how this movie is animated, but I'm pretty sure these are 3D models.
I think they're 2D.
You think they're 2D?
Yeah, I mean we'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll look into it on our own time.
we'll look into it. Here, live right now. Let's look into it.
Look into it right now.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, 2D or 3D? So one of the questions is Puss in Boots 2 real? It's 3D.
Oh, it's 3D. Okay.
Yeah, that looks
Well,
really good.
it bleeds together very well. Like it shreds that line super well.
Yeah, it looks really good. So anyways, let's talk about the actual movie. So the movie opens up with this really fun song.
It's a really fun song accompanied by this really fun action sequence, and it's great. It's such a good spectacle. If you were following this movie before it came out, we got this first 10 minutes a while ago. They put this out as like a promotional thing. They did something similar with Top Gun Maverick. If you remember seeing that like 8 minute clip in theaters before big blockbuster movies, they did the same thing with Puss in Boots, but they just put it on YouTube. They just should have put up the first 8 minutes, the first like 10 minutes of the movie on YouTube.
Yeah,
And it's great. It's so good.
it's like, if you haven't seen the movie, just go watch that 8 minute clip. I'm pretty sure it includes, it's the whole fight with the giant, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, it starts where the movie starts and it ends with the Spanish Splinter.
It's like that, the scene of Puss, like, fighting this huge giant, and he's like swinging the bell from the bell tower all around. The animation is so smooth. It looks amazing. It's got those, like, the little, like, comic book the lines and the jagged edges and stuff like that, popularized by Into the Spider-Verse. And I mean, like, we gotta find a name for this for this art style, because it's not just the Spider-Verse art style anymore. I don't know what to call it, but I think this movie's animation is one of my favorite animation styles I've ever seen in a movie. And we've seen the little, like, the clips of Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse that's coming out with this year. I think it was this year.
Yeah, it's this year. Well, part 1 is this year, and then
Yeah, if it doesn't get delayed again.
if it doesn't get delayed, it's supposed to be out in October. They did a little oopsie story time as when we went to go see this in theaters. They showed the first Across the Spider-Verse trailer, um, back when it was called Part 1, Part 2, and it said it was out in October.
Yeah. Oh yeah, October 8th, 2022.
And we were watching this in January of 2023, so that was interesting.
Another funny thing about when we watched this in theaters was it was us and 6 other people. We were the only ones in the theater.
Yeah, when I saw it with Lib, it was the second time I'd seen it because I watched it in theaters beforehand with some other friends. And the theater wasn't packed then either. Granted, like the movie had been out for like a couple weeks, so I guess like it just slowed down, which is fine. But I think more people, if you haven't seen it, please go out and see it. It's doing very well, so I'm sure a lot of people did go out of their way to go watch it. But if you haven't, please do, because it's so good. It's such a fun time for kids. It's a fun time for the family. There's a lot to enjoy, regardless of their age. It's a really cute story. It tackled some subjects I didn't expect it to. Honestly, I didn't think the whole um his whole anxiety thing would come up in a movie like this, but they handle it very well, all things considered.
Yeah, and speaking of this being for all ages, this movie is very, like, it's not like the old DreamWorks animated movies where it's like, oh yeah, it's made for kids. There's stuff that's enjoyable for adults. The jokes are pretty adult, especially in the Shrek movies. But in this movie, there's a lot that's like mainly for adults. There's a lot of blood and there's swearing in this movie, which I was not expecting. Caught me off guard.
Yeah, there's swearing, and granted, it's like censored swearing for the sake of a joke, right? But like, it's still like something an adult would understand and kind of laugh with. The action is very serious for a movie like this. Like Lib said, there's blood. The final fight and then the first fight are like anime fights. Like it's really high energy, high impact. It's very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, so yeah, going back to that first scene, it's just so good how it's all animated. The music is booming. The music in this movie is just, as a whole, is really good. I haven't listened to the soundtrack yet, but I want to.
I really like the main, like the song, favorite Fearless Hero. I think it's a really really good song. Antonio Banderas singing caught me off guard a little bit because it had been a while, right? But he still has it. He still does it well. But when I first saw the movie, Lib asked me if I heard Antonio Banderas' like age, because he's getting up there, you know.
Yeah, he's getting
And
up
I
there.
think the song is the most telling of like of all like his performance in the movie, that like he's kind of like getting older. But overall, I think he still plays Puss in Boots extremely well, and he sounds great. Although, fun fact, he also did Puss in the Italian dubs for all the Shrek movies and the Puss in Boots movie, the first one. But he didn't do the Italian dub for this one. He was recast. So
Yeah, I don't know. I
that
wonder,
was weird.
did he do the Spanish dub?
Nope,
What?
only the English dub.
Okay, that's weird. Yeah, it's a bit strange, but yeah. Just speaking of Spanish, you could really see like his Spanish side coming out, acting as Puss. There's a lot of parts in the movie where they do just straight up speak Spanish.
I think his accent is heavier in this movie too.
Yeah, I think he kind of plays it up in this movie with the accent, because I don't. It wasn't that recent that I watched Shrek 2, but that's the movie he was introduced in. I don't think no, he wasn't in the first one. He was in the second one.
No, he's introduced into.
His accent's pretty mild. Like, you could tell, oh yeah, he's like a Spanish. He's like Zorro. But in this movie, he's like straight up. He is Zorro. It's just he has this really cool, very smooth, suave voice.
I I like it a lot. I think it adds some flair to Puss. I know I definitely like he's had the accent the whole time, but it's definitely like more like enforced in this movie. And I don't know if that's just because Antonio Banderas is getting older and he can't do the like without the accent as heavily anymore. But I think it works, so it's fine.
Because that's not his normal speaking voice. That's not how Antonio Banderas sounds.
No, it's not. But
So
the accent is definitely a little more apparent in this movie.
yeah.
But it works. I like it a lot.
Yeah, so anyways, we're jumping around a bit. So going back to the opening scene, it ends with Puss dying. He dies.
Yep. And that's like the setup for the movie is cats have 9 lives and Puss is on his last one.
Yep. So his goal is to find we said the movie opens with the song, but it actually opens with this like little like exposition thing about talking about how this fallen star fell to Earth or something. And this star is like the wishing star. You know, the everyone knows the super old nursery rhyme, the starlight star bright for a star see tonight. If you find that star, it'll grant you one wish. And he was like, okay, we gotta find the star. That's the adventure in the movie. Gotta find the star, and he's gonna use that wish to give himself 9 lives back.
Yeah, and the way they start this journey is really cool because before Puss like sets off on his journey, because he needs the lives back, right? Because when he first dies, he doesn't really think much of it. He's like, oh, whatever, like it's fine. But then he's attacked by a wolf,
A wolf, yeah.
and this wolf nearly kills him in that encounter, and that kind of changes Puss's whole worldview. He's like, oh shit, like I could die now, because the only reason he was this fearless hero throughout his entire life is because he had 9 lives. He had nothing to fear, right? So he was able to just go crazy, and suddenly he can't do that anymore. And this is this great scene where like he's cut, like the wolf like cuts his forehead a little bit, and he just like rubs the blood and looks at his hand and freaks out. Like you see like the hairs on his back come up. It's really really cool. This movie handles this aspect of the story extremely well, and I never thought they'd do something like this for Puss in Boots.
I just didn't think DreamWorks would do anything like this at all. Like they're an animation company, and first and foremost, I'm assuming first and foremost, this movie is for kids.
Yeah, and this movie's about facing your mortality, I guess, and learning
Yeah,
to find things in life that are like make your life worth living, but make your one life worth living.
and
And
that's kind of like that's the whole moral of the story, right? Because in spoilers for the ending, but he realizes that life is worth living, you know, and he comes to terms with the fact that he will die one day, and he's gonna live his life to the fullest with a character that makes a return from the first movie, which I thought would never come back, Kitty Softpaws.
so I haven't seen Puss in Boots, the first one, in a very very long time. Because that movie came out when I was like in that age where I thought I was too old to watch animated movies, right?
Yeah, we've all been there.
We've all been there, and so I had seen it at the time, but I didn't think much of it, and I never revisited it because I'm a cool edgy kid. I'm a teenager now, right?
I should
Um,
rewatch it.
so I happened to see a clip on Twitter. It's when Puss fights Kitty Southpaws, and I'm like I watched this clip because it's so funny, like it's so bad that it's funny. I could send it to you after the episode. It's hilarious. But two, I just didn't remember Kitty was in that movie. Like I thought she was a new character for this one, and I think that's how I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep the image in my head that she's an original character for this movie, and I love her. She's great. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the like she has already like this pre-established emotional connection to Puss because they were gonna get married, but Puss left her at the altar. Puss, how could you?
Was that in Puss in Boots, or is that just part of their
No,
history?
no, they meet for the first time in Puss in Boots.
Okay, okay.
I don't think it ends with him proposing to her.
I don't remember, so I couldn't tell you.
I really need to rewatch the first Puss in Boots, but yeah, so she was in the first movie, and it's the same voice actress too. It's Salma Hayek, very talented actress. Love her. She's in House of Gucci.
Yeah, she's a fantastic actress. And she does this voice is very very well. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah, she really is a lot of fun. And I really like that the movie doesn't do the fucking they kind of do the emotional split, but they don't do the obvious one that was being set up, which is like the scene where Puss and the dog. Oh well, they didn't even talk about the dog. We'll mention him briefly, but the dog were like calming down in the woods, and then she overhears what they were talking about, and they could have easily been like. Puss was saying something that would have been misunderstood by her, and then that she would have gotten super mad at him, and then she would have stolen the map and run away, you know. But they
Yeah,
didn't do that.
I'm really happy they didn't do that, and the way they do the emotional split is great because from our like we know what happened, right? Because we're following Puss in the scene where he runs, but when it comes to like Kitty and what's the dog's name?
Perito.
Perito.
It means
Th-
puppy in
Yeah, yeah, I
Spanish.
know it means puppy in Spanish. They see it as Puss is running for
The
the
star.
star, but we see what actually happened, and then it's also handled like super well. Like the moment Kitty and Perito reunite with Puss at the star, he tells them like immediately, like, no, like it's not what you think. Like, listen, like I'm gonna die. Death is after me, literally. We don't have time for this.
Um, but okay, we are really jumping around. Like it's just a lot of good. There's a lot of good to talk about. But okay, let's talk about Perito because I think that this is Perito is the thing that stopped me from giving it 5 stars. I would have given it 5 stars. We didn't talk about that. I gave it 4.5.
I also gave it 4.5.
So we're introduced to Perito at the scene where Puss goes to this crazy cat lady's house to stay because the doctor told him it's a safe spot. And it's just a really cool like little montage of him acting human, but then the lady is like, no, just stop it. Like he's like using the toilet like a person. He's like, no, that's your toilet, and points to a litter box. And there's a scene with him flipping pancakes.
Man was cooking.
He was cooking. Like, why wouldn't she be okay with that? Come on, she has a talking cat in her house. Why is she not okay with that? But yeah, so we get introduced to Perito there because he's
He's a stray dog looking
yeah,
for
he's a
home.
squatter. He's dressing as a cat. Also, the only other talking animal, which is weird.
I'd like to imagine that the other cats understand Puss, but like Puss in Boots speaks English because we need to understand him. I don't know.
Well, because in the scene where I don't think so because in the scene where he talks to the cats for the first time, he says like meow, like
Oh, and
Sonic.
they get offended. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and they get
you're right.
offended. And he's like, "What? Is it something I said? It's my second language." So I don't think because I think it's that line where he says it's his second language. So I'm assuming like cat speak.
Cat speak is different, and Puss also doesn't speak cat.
Yeah, Puss doesn't speak cat, which is pretty funny. He's a cat and he doesn't speak cat. But what's weird to me a little bit though is why are Puss and Kitty the only two cats that can speak? That's kind of, I don't know. I guess it's because they're fairy tale characters. But I don't know what fairy tale Kitty is
Because
from.
like the other cats are cats, whereas these two are fairy tale characters.
Yeah, I mean, I love the like the universe in Shrek. Where just there's like these normal people, but there's also fairy tale characters, and the fairy tale characters are special. It's kind of like Fables, the comic book series Fables. I guess because like there's normal bears in the wild in this universe, but there's the fairy tale bears, uh, and they can speak like the three bears in the Goldilocks story. I wonder why I'm bringing them up. Oh yeah, because they're the main antagonists. They're one of the main antagonists.
I don't know if I would call them the main antagonists. They're definitely an antagonist.
I think there's two main antagonists. Is them and Big what's his name? Big Jack?
Big Jack Horner.
Big Jack Horner.
And then no, I'd say that the two antagonists are Jack and Death, but like I think Goldilocks is more like an obstacle than anything else because like they have their own story going on alongside Puss, and in the end they do kind of team up. So I don't know if I could call them villains necessarily, because like Puss also kind of fucks them over.
Yeah.
It's more like the, it's like Lib, you said at the beginning. It's a race to the finish, and I know our race needs participants. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say. I mean, they are antagonists, but they're not like the main ones.
Yeah, because the wolf, 'cause we got the wolf, we got Jack, and we got Goldilocks and the three bears, and okay, I guess the main one is the wolf, and then the two side ones are Goldilocks and Jack. But Goldilocks, voiced by Florence Pugh, she is a really fun character. She's got a great voice. I really love the voice that Florence Pugh used. That's not her normal speaking voice, right? Like it's played up a little bit.
Yeah, Florence Pugh, yeah.
Yeah, it's played up a little bit, not a lot, but it's a great voice for her, and the three bears are great characters. My favorite one is the Papa Bear. I love him. He's hilarious.
Oh, I love the three bears in this. And they have a really cute resolution to their story. Again, this movie just handles its characters super well. You were talking about Pedito kind of being like meh. You didn't really vibe with him. I enjoyed him a lot, and I think in general this movie handles its characters very well. There isn't like a character arc I think is handled poorly, which is nice because I think that's something you could very often like kind of push aside when you're doing an animated movie like this, because spectacle better, right? But this movie like finds that balance of like being this huge visual spectacle while also telling these really touching character stories. It's nice.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't vibe with Perito because I find him a little bit annoying. He's the donkey of this movie, but instead of being donkey, he's actually a character with a purpose. He's one of the reasons that Puss like learns the meaning of life, and like how he has to like treasure the people he's with and everything. And in the end they do become best friends, but I really like their dynamic, that he's like, "Oh, you're my best friend," and he's just like, "No, you're not, shut up." I love that dynamic. It's hilarious, and like slowly throughout the movie he like warms up to Perito.
Yeah, there's like a scene. It's probably around the halfway point where it's right when Pedito gets taken by Jack Horner for the first time. And he throws like the stick sword, and Pedito goes to get it, and then they go after him. And like Kitty is teasing him, "Oh, you like him, don't you? You're gonna keep him. Oh, you're gonna be friends, huh?" And it's just really cute.
You're gonna name him soon, huh? And they keep saying that they're gonna name him. In the end, he ends up just like, "I like Perito. It's nice."
I mean, I guess in a sense they did name him, right?
Yeah, they named him that. Speaking of Jack Horner, because we didn't even introduce him, he's I think he's my favorite character in the whole movie.
So I have, it's not an issue with Jack Horner, but what my thing is, so I love John Mulaney, right? I love him. I love his stand up. I love his Netflix specials. I think he's a very funny guy. He only has a one voice,
Yeah, that's true.
and he's not an actor, so I get it. I didn't know going into the movie that it was John Mulaney, and I wasn't really paying attention to the voice until the friend I was with, Nat, if you're listening, hello. Nat mentioned that's John Mulaney, and for the rest of the movie, I could only hear John Mulaney, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit. But I do like Jack. I just it's a B thing.
No, I understand. John Mulaney has a very distinct voice, and he doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't act, because that's wrong, but
No, he definitely acts. He definitely like articulates his voice differently, and he plays characters.
yeah,
But he plays characters in his voice. He doesn't do different voices.
yeah, like in again going back to Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Ham is just John Mulaney. Like that's all.
Yeah.
That's all it is. He doesn't really like put on this any kind of like different voice. He doesn't deepen it or do anything. He just speaks into the microphone, and that's kind of what Jack Horner is like in this movie. At first, I didn't hear it, but then like near the middle, where he started yelling a lot, Uh,
You hear it a lot more when he's yelling.
yeah, for sure. I was like, yeah, that's John Mulaney. The illusion is gone. That's not
That's
Jack
it.
Horner
It's not
anymore.
a bad performance. It's just once you realize it's John Mulaney, the illusion is gone,
Yeah,
and it takes you out of it. Because I like generally like I think all the other voice actors in this movie, all the other actors, do very good voice performances, and he just kind of stands out because he's that's just John Mulaney.
but that aside, I do really like Jack Horner. I like
I
that
do
he's
too.
just like this hoarder of Jack Hoarder, this hoarder of
Yeah, he's an angry. He's from a nursery rhyme, not a fairy tale, and he's angry about that because his whole life he got overshadowed by all the other fairy tales.
especially Pinocchio.
So now he's angry and he wants to take all the world's magic for himself. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in his room if you were paying attention. There's a ton in this movie.
Yeah, the ones
There's like
that I spotted, we got Cinderella's slipper. There was the phoenix. I think that's a Harry Potter reference. I don't know.
no, I think it's right. I think it's Mulan. It's like the original Mulan story.
Oh, the original Mulan.
Yeah, because it was before like Mushu wasn't a thing in the original. It's a phoenix.
Later he finds Jiminy Cricket from
Yeah,
Pinocchio's
just
story.
straight up Jiminy Cricket, who I love in this movie. He's great.
Yeah, he's so good. There's King Midas's hand is in it.
Yeah, Excalibur, like the sword in the stone, isn't
Yeah,
it?
which is funny because we had just recently watched the Green Knight when we watched this movie, so it was really funny.
The hat from the Sorcerer's Apprentice, like the one like Mickey wears, that's in it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of Easter eggs there. If you want to like pause the movie, go frame by frame, you'll find a ton there.
it's really cool. That was a cool scene, and the scene where the scene in the town wherever that is, where they're all running away as a him and Kitty Softpaws and Perito, and they're being chased by this fucking Mad Max Fury Road shit. It was awesome. And like I love the jokes in this movie. Like his army is called the Baker's Dozen, and there's 13 of them.
It's great. This movie is actually like hilarious.
Yeah, I laughed so many times. It's very rare that a movie's just like so funny that almost every joke they say makes you laugh. And then at the same time, there are moments where there's like genuine like emotion and good vibes. And then on top of that, at the same time, there's a third thing. We got these scary moments with the wolf and Puss having to come to terms with his mortality. And it turns out that this wolf guy that's been chasing him the whole movie is death, straight up. He's death.
That's one thing I didn't like about the movie. I like Death a lot. He's one of my favorite characters in the movie, but I didn't like that he said that. Like I'm Death, straight up, because I feel like it's obvious who that's supposed to be, right? Like you can't misinterpret what they're trying to say, and I feel like them being like, "Yeah, I'm Death," like just saying it outright, kind of like I know they're not intentionally talking down to the audience and like taking them for an idiot, but like it's kind of how it feels. At least I don't know. We live in an age where people like to throw around that media literacy is dead, and especially on beautiful hell sites like Twitter, people will throw around that you know movies need to take their audiences more seriously, and then media literacy is dead, and this and that, and then we get scenes like this, which like we get it. You didn't have to say it, right? We know
Yeah.
that's death. You didn't have to. You showed it. You didn't have to tell us. It's not a huge complaint, right? Like I still think this movie's a 4.5 out of 5, but that was just one little thing that I wish like just a line. Take it out.
There is a few examples of that in this movie, like mostly from Perito. I think it's a bit like too on the nose at points.
Yeah, and I get it's probably because it's a kids movie. Like it's a kids movie first, so maybe that's probably why it's a little on the nose. But there were a couple times where I'm like, okay, like we get it. Like you don't need to tell us. I think any kid in the audience would have put two and two together that this wasn't actually a like a mercenary or whatever. It's death. And then like all Puss had to say was, you're no mercenary, you're no bounty hunter." And then that's it. And then like that, okay, now it's confirmed. He
Like
didn't have to say it.
the scene in the cave where he's with all of his past lives, And like all they needed to show was on Death's like scythe thing. There's all the times he killed well, it's not him directly, but he was pointing to his scythe and he was like, I was there for every single one. That's all you needed to know.
It's actually a pretty like neat touch because I didn't notice it the first time, but I noticed it when we watched it together. Is the little eight cat heads are on his scythe the whole time, even at the beginning, and there's a really close up shot of the scythe like hitting like a wall, and you see it for a second, and I didn't notice it the first time. So like, there's your hint. Like at the beginning of the movie, it's there, right? And then you can kind of piece it together throughout the rest of the movie. And but yeah, they do just outright say it. If you didn't catch on for some reason, this is death.
There are a lot of scenes with some serious tension because Puss is on his last life. So there is a big chance that he could die during this adventure and then that's it. He's done. And it's like that no matter where he goes, death is always looming around him, and he's not sure if it's actually him or if he's just hallucinating. There are great scenes where he's like freaking out and he's getting super anxious and he's running away. I think during those times for sure it's like, oh yeah, those are hallucinations.
Yeah, he's definitely seeing things because he's scared. Like there's a scene where they're running through. It's when he's running away when Goldilocks gets the map, and he like runs away the first time. He's running through a forest, and you see like branches creating like the wolf head, and like there's flowers that look like the red eyes in like the distance. And it's really cool. It's really handled well.
Yeah, and that's that scene where Perito helps him calm down in the forest. It's such a good scene for Puss's character because we've never really seen him be anything other than this fearless, nimble hero that can do anything.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that contrast from him, like the way he fights the giant at the beginning of the movie, and the way Kitty fights throughout the whole movie. And then you compare it to how Puss is fighting, like after, like post Pickles. That's what I'm gonna call it. Post Pickles Puss.
Post Pickles.
Triple
How did you
P.
learn that name?
Post Pickles Puss, where he fights a lot more. He's a lot sloppier. He doesn't like swing into action as quickly. He's very slow. It's a cool contrast.
Yeah, he's a lot more careful because he can't die. If he dies,
Because
it's over.
he can die and it's over at that point. Right?
And then when they finally do get to the star and they have this really awesome showdown of everyone fighting each other, because at this point this is like after the emotional split, so Kitty and Perito are confused on what's happening, and then Jack Horner shows up with his one remaining one remaining member of the Baker's Dozen, which I think is like it's like the pun with the Baker's Dozen is actually 13, and that's the one extra, that the one that came with him. And then Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and they're all fighting to get the map because you need to be holding the map to say your wish. It's really cool. All the fight scenes are really good, but I do have a little like nitpick with all of the fight scenes. I think like I was saying at the very beginning of the episode, the animation style is fucking amazing. It's so good what they've done with this animation style, but I feel like the fight scenes could have benefited from a bit more smooth animation because some of them do look a bit choppy. Like it looks like the characters are kind of just teleporting.
Yeah, kind of, but it kind of feels like an anime fight in that regard, which like it's something I don't mind because I'm used to seeing it. But like, yeah, it's not really a thing you see in these movies a lot.
Yeah, like you see it in Spider-Verse, but it's because it's the comic book style. But this is not a comic book style. This is just the way they did this, and for all intents and purposes, they could have just used the old art style. It's a good choice that they went with this, but for the fight scenes, they should have maybe invested a bit more time and a bit more frames, like literally a bit more frames, to make it look a bit smoother. And I think this is the most notable during the scene where Jack Horner is shooting all the people with the unicorn crossbow. Like after he kidnaps Perito. That fight scene is pretty choppy, in my opinion. I think it looks really...
Yeah, that one has a lot more going on, though. But yeah, especially compared to like the one-on-one fights, it is a lot choppier.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that the fight scenes are bad though. I love the fights; they're all
Oh yeah, no,
really
it's still
good.
great.
Yeah, like it's really the thing that just took it from a 5 to a 4.5 was just the way they kind of just shove the message down your throat sometimes, and just I kind of find Pedito a bit annoying. But other than
No, but
that,
but
it's
that's fair. I think he's meant to be a little bit annoying. Especially like to Puss. Like Puss straight up does not like him.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he does warm up on me a lot to the end.
This was a really good ending. Like it was very touching. Turns out, spoiler alert if you didn't watch it. But turns out they didn't need the wish. Looks like Puss and Kitty Softpaws and Ferito. I guess they're a nice little happy family we have here. Another happy family we have here. Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
That's like the lesson, right? Is you don't need 9 lives. You could just enjoy it. You could enjoy the one.
Yeah, it's a really nice message. Jack Horner fucking dies.
The fight with the wolf is really cool too because it parallels the beginning where like when the wolf first attacks him, he like knocks Puss's sword out of his hand and he's like pick it up, and Puss runs away. In the end, Puss breaks the like he like Darth Mauls his two scythes or two sickles, I guess, into a spear, and then he breaks it in half and kicks it back to him and he's like pick it up, and then ends with this really cool line from the wolf where like the wolf gives up in the end because Puss stands up for himself. And he's like, I came here to find this huge egoed like hero who didn't value his life, but I don't see that here anymore, and he leaves. It's a really cool. It's a really good moment.
Yeah, he has a really good arc. This arc that's kind of been happening since Shrek 2. Speaking of Shrek, we do see like a small clip of him. Like there's this montage when he's like life is flashing before his eyes when the wolf is about to kill him at the very beginning, the first time he
Yeah.
attacks him, and we
You
see
see,
Shrek and Donkey.
yeah, and they're doing Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, they're doing a Hakuna Matata. Cool little cameo there. Fun cameo. Love Shrek. Love
Yeah,
that
it's
guy.
cool. There's also a little Easter egg at the end of the movie.
Yep.
Or like Kitty Team Friendship.
Team friendship.
Or they're on a ship and they're heading towards far away. And Puss says, oh, we're gonna go see some old friends, which I think is gonna inevitably lead into a Shrek 5, but we'll see.
Yeah, I hope that's like the build up for a Shrek 5. And if they ever do Shrek 5, I really want it to be in this art style, but I can't for the life of me, I can't figure out what Shrek 5 would even be about. Like I don't know. I don't really know where to go. Shrek Forever After was kind of just this really nice way to tie the bow.
You could kind of reboot Shrek or like retcon things and maybe
Well, they did. They retconned Shrek 3.
make it like take place at a different time.
We'll see what happens. If and when the Shrek 5 happens, we'll talk about it for sure. I am a Shrek fan. I love Shrek. Like unironically, I love Shrek.
I love Shrek 1 and 2. I'm down to see a new Shrek that's better than because I'm of the opinion that like Shrek 3 through 4 5
It's three. 5 doesn't exist, man.
4 oh is it Shrek 3 Forever After.
Shrek
Oh, it's
for,
the
Shrek Forever
Christmas
After
movie.
is
Thinking
4.
about Shrek the Halls or
You're thinking about Shrek the Halls. No, it's Shrek 1, 2, 3. Shrek 1, 2, and then Shrek the Third, and then Shrek Forever After. Those are the movies. Shrek the Third
um
is terrible. I hate that movie. It's really bad.
yeah. Anyway, I'm of the opinion that all the movies after Shrek 2
Two.
aren't good, right? But I would love another Shrek movie because I still think those first two are just that good.
I like Shrek 4. I think it's okay. I think it's a good ending because, Shrek learns kind of the same lesson that Puss learns in this movie.
To
Not,
value
yeah, to
life.
value life and not take anything for granted because when he makes the deal with Stiltskin, he makes the deal that like, oh, what if my life stayed the same as it always was and it was, like this like kind of like Christmas Carol. Like the kind of like a Christmas Carol where they go back to that and it was like, oh, by the way, if you don't get with your wife again, you're dying, you're dead, I'm gonna kill you.
Just straight up, you're gonna die.
That's not really what it's like, but that's like that's the main, the main takeaway there is like he learns the meaning of living your life to the fullest, which is basically the same thing that Puss learns in this movie. I think it's a good closing. I think it's a good closure for for Shrek as a character and Shrek as a franchise. I didn't think they would ever do a Shrek 5, but I guess eventually they will, because the ending of this movie kind of teases it.
I mean, it could also just be like a Shrek cameo in like another Puss in Boots movie.
Yeah, we'll
Right? Like,
see.
it doesn't necessarily mean a Shrek 5 is gonna happen.
I mean, I don't really think we need another Puss in Boots movie.
Right, but this would mean money, right? So
This made big money. This is the highest rated movie in the Shrek franchise. Why does my throat suck so much today? Hold on. My throat, I'm being fucked, dude.
you're being fucked. Oh shit!
Am I getting sick? Is that what's happening?
I think you've been talking, right?
I've been talking. But yeah, I guess final thoughts. Any final thoughts?
Oh, we really talk about Goldilocks and her whole story, right?
Oh my god, yeah, we didn't. Jesus. Okay, so
Like Goldilocks is after the wishing star as well, like much like Jack Horner. Jack's wish is to have all the magic in the world, like we said earlier. But Goldilocks wants everyone knows the story. Goldilocks and Three Bears. You know, she an orphan girl finds this house, 3 bowls of porridge, 3 beds. She wants to find her just right, and she's a human living with bears, so
that's
she
not
doesn't
just
have that
right.
just right. So she wants a family. That's the wish. She wants a human family.
Yeah, because she's like, I'm not a bear, I don't fit in. But the whole time, Mama Bear especially, because she fights with Baby Bear a lot. But, well, they're siblings. And I guess, like, that kind of solidifies they are a family because, as siblings do, they fight.
Right, and in the end, when the parents, Mama and Papa Bear, learn what the wish is, they still like stand by their daughter, and
Yeah, they
they
don't they
fight
don't
for
like
her.
they don't
And
like get mad and like, like, oh, you're on your own, fuck you. Baby Bear was ready to do that, but Mama and Papa Bear, they were like, no, 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 you're our daughter, we're gonna help you, and if a human family is what you want, we'll help you get that.
but she learns that the 3 bears are her just right.
Yeah, and there's this really cool like visual like symbolism whatever thing that I noticed. I don't know if you noticed, but she mainly rides on Mama Bear, which is in the story that's the just right, because Mama Bear's porridge was the one that was just right, and Mama Bear's bed was the one that was just right. She usually rides on her because she's the closest thing to just right,
Right.
which is like, good symbolism, very good.
Eh, they have a good story. I like them a lot. I think they're very fun characters. I think this movie just is filled with these beautiful stories with these very fun and well written characters, and I didn't expect that from a Shrek sequel, let alone a Puss in Boots sequel.
Yeah, man, like the first trailer for this movie was so like underwhelming. We were like, yeah, no, I'm not sure about this one, guys. But then we saw the clip and we're like, ooh. And watching the movie was a surreal experience. It was like so cool seeing these characters come to life in a way I've never seen before. And it's this redemption story of not I don't mean like in the actual movie. I just mean DreamWorks like as a company. This is their redemption. Like they just proved with this movie that they could still make good movies. And yeah, everything they've been doing up to this point is cash grabs, and that's not a good thing. DreamWorks, be better. But this was just a labor of love for the Shrek franchise and for the characters in the movie. And it's just like they gave this concept to the animators and they're like, okay, go ham, do whatever you want.
And it worked.
It's phenomenal. Like this is if this doesn't win best animated picture in 2 months, I don't know what will. Like honestly, Disney and Pixar have been kind of lackluster last year in
Yeah, I
2022.
can't think of anything that would even.
Come close. Like
Yeah.
this has to. If this doesn't win best animated picture at the Oscars this year, just the judges are idiots. Just straight up.
Yeah.
If there's a movie I'm forgetting, I'm gonna feel so stupid. But I don't think I am. Like what was
No, I can't think of any either.
like
So
2022 we for Pixar we got Lightyear and for Disney we got Strange World. Wow, what a great and Pinocchio. Wow, what a great repertoire for 2022. Yeah, I don't think any of those are winning. It's gonna be this.
like Pinocchio, Pinocchio doesn't count, right? Like the Guillermo del Toro one doesn't count.
No, I'm talking about the Disney one. I
Oh,
don't know
no, fuck that one.
the Guillermo del Toro one. Oh no, it does count. It came out in 2022.
Yeah, but it's not like whatever.
Oh yeah, the stop motion with
If that
puppets count.
counts, then I think that might have a shot. But if it doesn't, then there's no contest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if stop motion movies count, but we'll see. What's called stop motion animation. It probably does count.
It's good.
Yeah, it is a good movie. Haven't seen it yet, but it's a good movie. But yeah, well, those were my final thoughts. Do you have anything to add? No.
Sorry.
I said those were my final thoughts. Do you have anything to add?
Oh, sorry, I got distracted. I think those are my final thoughts too.
Yeah. So 4.5 stars from both of us. High recommendation. If it's still playing in theaters near you, check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah. If not, it's out there. You
Yep.
can find it.
It's out there. Oh, but moving on. Before we move on to Backloggd, we're going to talk a little bit about a TV show that started recently that we watched the first episode of. The Last of Us TV show is out, and it's we've seen the first episode. Haven't seen the second episode. Hey, hey HBO, we're reviewers. Can you show us the second episode? Give it to us. You trust. You could trust us. We're trustworthy people. It was really good.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
So we're both. I think we are just both huge fans of the Last of Us game. Very very good game from the PS3 era. The Last of Us is 10 years old this year. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, I did not like that information.
You know what's also 10 years old this year? The PS4.
Don't like that either.
Anyways, yeah, so this is pretty much just a straight up shot for shot recreation of the opening hour, I want to say, of The Last of Us 1. Very, very like faithful recreation with like really good casting. I was skeptical about Pedro Pascal playing as Joel, but he sold me.
Yeah, I was worried about Pedro Pascal as Joel, not because I think he's a bad actor. Not at all. It's the opposite. I love him. But I love him so much that I don't think I could see him being Joel. If you played the game, like if you know, you know. But this episode sold me. I really, really liked him as Joel. I thought his dynamic with Tess and Ellie, I can't remember the actresses' names right now, was fantastic. Speaking of of Tess and Ellie, they were both also great. Ellie's not in much of the episode; she only shows up near the end, but she's great. Tess is really good. We don't really see a lot of the. I don't think we see any of the zombies in this episode, right? It ends with them being attacked by
Yeah,
the
only
military.
the only zombie we see is the only main zombie we see is the old lady who lives next door. And I guess during the car chase where they're driving, there's like a few zombies here and there, but you can't really see them. Like as part of the crowd, all the people that were running out of the movie theater, there was I think there was a zombie in there, but you don't really see them. The first episode was really just to establish the world and its characters, and it does a really good job at doing that. I think it's pretty clear that the Joel in this show is going to be portrayed a bit differently than the Joel in the game. Because in the game he's kind of this like hard ass guy who I think he was like an ex-military guy. In the show he's still this ex-military guy, but he's not as hard as nails. He's more like sympathetic a little bit in the show.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because in the game, when they find out that Ellie is infected, he's ready to kill her in the game. But in the show, he's more like, okay, fine, you're infected, but let's just go anyways, because if we don't move, we're gonna die, because there's guards coming after us.
I think they just made Joel be more protective of kids in this one. Well, like when he's begging for the dude not to shoot them, you get the flashback to Sarah, which was implied in the game, but you could take he like begs, like he pleads the guy not to shoot the kid, right?
Yeah.
And then he has that freak out rage moment where he's just beating on him, right?
Yeah, like the where he's just beating on the guard's
Yeah, which is
face.
that's original. That's not in the game.
Yeah.
I actually replayed the beginning of the game recently just to compare. It's a very good adaptation. I'll say that.
Yeah, the show is making me want to buy the remaster, the PS5 remaster. Yeah, really good show. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of it. But moving on to Backloggd. We got to come up with a name for the TV show segment. I just don't want to call it the TV show segment anymore. But moving on to Backloggd, the segment where we recommend each other movies to talk about in the next episode. And last time, my turn to recommend something, and I recommended a movie that we both haven't seen, which was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, because I just wanted to watch it. Like, it's been so long that I've been meaning to watch it, and I finally did. And funny story, we were gonna watch it like it was yesterday, right? We were gonna watch it yesterday, and we put it on, and Pat made it in 7 minutes before he quit.
Yeah. So we watched the shorts, and then we watched like 7 minutes of the movie. And I don't know what it was, but I just could not do it. I could not get into it. But I gave it another shot this morning. I think it was like the first thing I did when I woke up, and I'm happy I gave it that second chance because this movie is great. I think it's much better than the shorts. I think the shorts are very much like they're not bad. They're just not for me. But I think this is a very heartwarming comfort movie, and I saw comfort movie being thrown around a lot, especially in like Letterboxd reviews. But now that I've seen it, like yeah, no, I get it. It's a comfort movie. It's a very feel good story. It has some downers. It has some real big downers, but it's very. I'm gonna say it again. Heartwarming. It's very nice.
Yeah, I really really liked it. I watched it like an hour ago, and on your first watch, you what did you give it on your first watch?
Give it 3.5 on the first watch. I was in the call when Lib was watching it an hour ago, and I bumped it up to a 4.
Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I'm a big fan of the old shorts. I remember watching them when they came out, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then I kind of forgot it existed, and then I saw this. I was like, holy shit, they made a movie, and I really liked it. This is my new comfort movie for sure. I'm gonna keep coming back to it. And what I just learned recently, you know the Lilo and Stitch live action movie that Disney's doing?
Yeah.
Dean is directing it.
Oh, cool. Might check that out then.
Yeah. Dean's a pretty good director. I think this movie kind of, it's not a great example of his like directing capabilities because it is a mockumentary and like the camera is really its own character in this movie. We only see stuff that Dean films for his like vlog for his YouTube, and that's a really good set piece. I like that a lot. I love Nana Connie. She's the best. I love Jenny Slate as Marcel. Very cute. He's got shoes. Very cute little shoes. I love this movie. I'm gonna watch this movie when I'm sad, so I can get sadder.
It's really good. I'd recommend it. Get the Pat seal of approval.
Yep.
Which is more than I got yesterday.
Yep. Yesterday I got the fuck it, I can't do this seal of approval.
But in return, Lib, I have a movie for you. This isn't a movie we both haven't seen. I've seen this movie.
Okay.
And we've talked about it recently, actually.
We did?
We talked about it recently. It's a movie that on paper I should have loved, but I didn't like. And it's a movie that I'm in the minority, apparently, from what I've talked about with other people who have seen it. That I'm in the minority, I didn't like it. So next time we'll be talking about a little I'm gonna reuse this joke again, a little indie flick called Detective Pikachu.
Oh yeah, I've never seen
starring
it.
Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Very, very massive, a bit of a loser for Pokemon. Right? Didn't like this movie very much, but I'm looking forward to revisiting it because I haven't seen it since it was in theaters. So I'm gonna revisit this with you. You for the first time, and me coming back into it with more of an open mind, and we'll see where it goes. We'll see if you like it. Maybe you'll hate it. Maybe we'll be in agreement. Who knows?
Yeah, funny story. Like when this movie came out, me and my friends we made plans to watch it, and then we just didn't.
Something I would have said I wish I did because I didn't like it. But open mind, Pat. Open mind.
Oh well, that's an interesting recommendation. Well, next episode on Backloggd, we'll talk about Detective Pikachu. Can't wait. Hold on, wait. I have a question about this movie. Is this an adaptation of the game or is this completely different?
I haven't played the game, but I think it's completely different.
Okay.
I'm gonna assume completely different.
All right. Oh wow, you gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, I did not like this movie.
Yeah. I'm seeing here like yeah. What's the average on Letterboxd is 3 stars. So we'll see. Like I don't know. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. I'm not a biggest fan of Pokemon, so we'll check it out. But with that, that's gonna be it for this episode of Fresh Off the Reel. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen. If you like the episode and you want to never miss another one again, make sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. You can find all of that at the Linktree, linktr.ee/freshoffthereal, no caps and no spaces. There you will also find a form that you could fill out to recommend us a film or a TV show. We'll take that recommendation, we'll make an episode about it. So if you want to give us some of your input on the movie, make sure to send us those recommendations. We love seeing them. And another little quick thing, we kind of forgot to mention this in the last episode, but just we didn't really take the time to thank all of you guys for staying with us for 2 seasons and now the 3rd season of this show. We kind of just started on a whim, and it's really cool seeing like even just only one person watching the episode, let alone like over 300 people watching it, which is insane. So
yeah, your support is very appreciated over here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope we can give even better episodes in the future going forward. Hopefully forever.
We're back with season 3. And with that, we'll see you specifically, you know who you are, at a theater near you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.